Today, wow, we're looking at an equinox today. I guess the moment just passed yesterday, and the most amount of light entering the planet, shining down on us, reminding us of who we are as light on this day. Summer has officially begun, and there's so much fun to be had during the summer in the Northern Hemisphere here. Of course, you guys down under have another thing going on. You're in the height of winter. So, um, let's talk about relationship. There's so many kinds of relationship that we all are inside of. Relationship with our parents, if they're still alive, even if they're not, we can have a relationship with them. With our children, if we have children. With our siblings, we have siblings. And then most important, our significant other. That's the big one, isn't it? That's the bomb. Yeah. Well, in the course, they speak about the difference between a special relationship and a holy relationship. Yesterday, I had a wonderful healing session with a client from Ireland, and uh, she was so open and ready and free to free herself of any shackles of shame, blame, guilt, resentment. And she didn't come with much, but she did leave with a whole lot less. And then we got in the ocean and played for a while, like dolphins in the surf. And on the way back to the car, she asked me if I would, be in a live-in sort of relationship with again. Because I shared with her I'd spent 39 years living with partners and how in the last 10 years I have found my sovereignty and what a challenge it was in the beginning after having those deeply ingrained patterns of having someone to cuddle, someone to wrap around, someone to kiss gently and remind them and myself that we're all okay. Even when things don't feel okay. That was my life for so long. It was really, really, really challenging to come down off of that. I recall it took me around 3 years or so before I stopped craving the touch and the presence of the feminine. And yeah, I reached out to many, and there was really no availability, which was not my usual pattern. My usual pattern was after a year to a year and a half, I'd have another partner. And that went on for 39 years. So, I explained to her that I really loved now my sovereignty. And I don't know if I would even entertain living with someone, but I don't have it out. It's not something I would just because my life is not my own. It's not like I can decide a structure of my life and then fill it. I mean, the only thing that works in that regard is sharing love, if that's even a structure. Just sharing love and dialogue with people, relieving them of whatever stress they bring to the space that we share. Happening a lot in the Uber driving. But my response to her when she asked me, would I do that again, was, yeah, I would. And then I explained to her that it would have to be a holy relationship because all the relationships I've had thus far were special. There was definitely an element of holy in them. And I know you can relate to that if you have a significant other. Yet The ego had its play hugely in the idea of specialness, of the need to feel special, and the need to feel wanted, the need to feel needed by someone else for whatever. And yeah, those patterns are very, very strong in our culture. And you guys know that. I mean, they are probably the strongest patterns. And you see them playing out on social media and everywhere else. Specialness. The ego thrives on being special. And it's something that we're programmed, uh, those patterns, when we're very young. I remember some of um, the children's shows early on, I think 80s, perhaps. You're so special. You're so special. And he was a very loved man, because of that. And it's good for a child to believe that, absolutely, because apparently from the original separation from our mother, we tend to have, a separation complex from that moment on, being severed at the umbilical cord and being breastfed and then taken off the breast and um, growing into, adulthood. And then, or, whenever we leave the family, there's another separation there. So we're constantly, as we're growing up, experiencing separation. So the specialness seems to be like a band-aid for that. It seems to pacify that separation complex that we all carry when someone um, deems us very special. It makes us glow for a moment. And you know why? Because there's a grain of truth in there. We are special, but not in the way that the ego sees. See, the ego will never get enough specialness. In fact, it'll never believe that it's special. That's why it needs a constant reminder of how special it is. Whereas you flip the coin, and what is really special about us is the fact that we are a child of God. We, we are a child of Creator in this creation to experience ourself as pure, innocent, and free. This is the way our soul is all the time. So the difference between a holy and a special relationship is that in a holy relationship, there's no neediness whatsoever, in my understanding. Um, it's a sharing of light. It's a sharing of the light that we all carry. It's like two whole people coming together, right? Two whole people coming together and touching that aspect of each of us that is whole and sharing that wholeness, you see. Okay. Now, what happens in a special relationship is two people who are not believing or not aware of their wholeness or have not cultivated it yet. They come in and they link and they want to possess each other. Nothing wrong with this. I lived in codependent heaven in my first marriage for 16 years. When everybody knows their part to play and everybody's playing it, wonderful things can come out of that. So, what happens as we mature in our relationship with Creator, with God, is that that bond that we feel of unconditional love that descends into our body to actually give us this life and beat our heart and offer us this experience here on earth, when our relationship to that aspect of us, it strengthens the trinity that we are. We are body, mind, and spirit. Okay? Those are the New Age terminologies. In Hawaiian, it would be ku, lono, and kane in the esoteric form, or unihipili, uhane, and aumakua in the more traditional Hawaiian language. And so that triad is what makes us whole, is when we are giving equal attention to that aspect of us that is living this dream in the mind of God, or aumakua, or whatever you'd like to call it, spirit of aloha. That part of us that is eternal, that lives forever, is also getting an equal acknowledgement in our daily life. That's right. So, in other words, if you think you have a very important decision to make somewhere, any kind of decision, it could even be what shirt you're going to put on, or what you're going to eat, or if you should travel, or if you should not, or if you should meditate, or if you should do yoga, or if you should take a shower or a bath. When you incorporate your higher self into that decision, um, you'll find there's no decision to be made, that there's only one choice that serves the whole trinity of you. And that begins the holy relationship because it's a whole relationship. It's a relationship with all of you as your spirit, mind, and body as one. These are not separate things. No, it's like having a papaya. You've got a skin, a pulp, and a seed. Same with an avocado. Most pieces of fruit, you can obviously see the Trinity. Well, we are the fruit of God. And to put it in some of the songs I grew up with, the crown of creation. The crown of creation, because we have the power to decide at every moment what we're going to experience in that moment. So, the advantages of a holy relationship are many. It's one that it translates into all relationships. In other words, being able to see the light in everything and see as light everything, whether it's a tree, or a building or a person. Can you see that all of your projections are formed in light? And they are here for us to realize ourselves as light. Now, in that functioning, there's no judgment. There's no blame. There's no resentment. There's no shame. Can you imagine how free that is? You'd be laughing all the time if there was nothing under the carpet in your subconscious that was holding you accountable for things you have done in the past that you need to pay for in suffering in the present. See, none of that's real. And I love this curriculum of A Course in Miracles because of how clear it is that, that none of that's real. And it may look like spiritual bypassing, and it does to many. I hear that from people. And yet, when you really look at it carefully, honoring who you are as an innocent, free being of our Creator, here to enjoy this physical reality as much as humanly possible. See, that's God's will. When you adopt that, then what happened in the past doesn't exist at all. And how does that happen? You forgive it. You forgive your projections of what you think you did, what you think someone else did, what they said, what you said, to hurt somebody. You see, those are all the ego's entrapments to make sure you don't have a holy relationship with yourself, that you're constantly being nagged by, this negative voice, which is very common in my head. And I'm sure that all of you, or many of you, can relate to that nagging voice that makes us so depressed, makes us feel so worthless, so devalued. And all those feelings will not create successful relationships with others, because your relationships with others will reflect those feelings of unworthiness, being devalued, not respected, um, you know, wanting you to pay for something you said or did or didn't do, right? Yeah. Those are the patterns you don't have to play into. You observe those patterns like I'm doing, and you say very kindly, no, thank you. I'm not going to play that pattern. You say it to yourself, or if you're working with a conscious other, you say it to them. Well, this pattern feels like a guilt application, and I'm not going to play it. I love you. Have a nice day. So, a holy relationship is one that exudes love, that feels like there's no need for anything other than this moment. And when two people that are in that same frame of mind, when they get together, they will feel God. They will feel spirit. They will feel the light in each other reflected. And this happens in the beginning of a special relationship when people fall in love. Yeah. Um, we see only someone's innocence. And that's why it feels so good. Because our own innocence is being reflected um, from the other person. And it's going both ways. And that draws the souls together into a very strong attraction. And that attraction now, when it goes into the patterns of special relationship, it will wind up doing things that will create possessiveness, wanting more, neediness. It's like we won't be able to get enough. There will never be enough of this person. I've seen marriages over 50 years where the people are still sleeping together, in a queen bed. And I have also witnessed how that evolved over 50 years for them relationship stuff um, into a very clean light. And so specialists can have a really strong root. They don't even have to be aware of it. They become aware that it's worth keeping the relationship, and so that they do, regardless of what happens. If there's financial disaster or infidelities, and a lot of things, they come back, you know, shining. It's beautiful. And that's the perfect blend of both special and holy that I see. And what is the upgrade to that, if there is one? In my projection, I would say that that feeling that they have for the other is the same feeling they have for everyone. Now, what is being shared with everyone else besides the partner um, is not all the same patterns for sure, because they're not sleeping with the whole world. But then in the principle of oneness, in the principle of we are all connected, whatever's happening in that relationship, in that bond to keep it together, is influencing the whole world. It's influencing all of humanity. That's what happens with the good, the holy, and the beautiful. It just keeps opening like a flower, like the whole universe is constantly in expansion. And that's the nature of love, to expand. And the nature of fear is to contract. So let's look at the fears that happen in a special relationship. There's two main fears. One, losing myself in the other. Oh, I don't want to lose myself. I don't want to lose my individuality. I don't want to lose all the dreams that I have because they don't subscribe to them. And the other fear is losing the other, losing their attention because you're wanting to pull back enough to have your own individuality. So they just might say, okay, see you later. Those are the two main fears in a special relationship, which actually hold it together so tightly. Yes. And the bonding is very physical for most of them. And that is like, it's like a temporary cement until it isn't, until something cracks it open. And it always happens. It's just the nature of life. Everything in this dimension has a beginning and an ending and a middle. Just like we are now, this talk had a beginning, it will have an ending, and now we're in the middle. Every relationship, if you look carefully, has exactly the same qualities. So there's an evolution in a special relationship that for me, when I started out after my first marriage into the world of what's next, after a marriage with 3 children, for 16 years, um, what's next? I was starting to read A Course in Miracles, and I came upon this passage about a holy relationship, and I was blown away. I thought, that's exactly what I want. And so I set out to create that. And it took several relationships and another marriage that were all 10-year marriage that were all centered on specialness to realize that I couldn't really have a holy relationship with the patterns I was running. So you may look into that in yourself. How much specialness do you need in a day to feel okay? That's a pretty profound question, eh? Especially when you wake up feeling depressed, right? And then someone calls you and says, hey, I love you. And all of a sudden, the depression lightens up, right? Yeah. Yeah. So finding our way home into a holy relationship begins with the three circles of ourself, our whole self. And in Morna Simeona's teaching, it would be Father, which is creator, Mother, which is creation, and Child, which is the body. And when that family of us is unified, it is together in harmony, we feel great. We don't feel like we need anything. So what? We're hungry. We don't have to eat if we don't want to. We're not going to die if we don't eat. Um, do we need someone around? Hmm. It becomes a choice rather than a need. And so tuning in to that silent, that really quiet voice of what is this next moment for? What is this next moment about? And then just listening carefully. And then there's those three questions they have in the course. What would you have me do? Where would you have me go? And what would you have me say? And then listen carefully. Oh, it's time to take a bath. Oh, it's time to go to the ocean. Oh, it's time to open this book. Oh, it's time to call so and so. Allow the Trinity of you to run your life. Works for me. It's so much easier than stressing over what's next and what there is to decide. A whole. When two whole people come together. And so this is what I said to this woman who asked me that. Will you do that again? Will you live with someone again? And I said, yeah, in a holy relationship, I would. I would live with a partner who understood the principles of wholeness and was living them herself. And then we could blend. Two whole people could celebrate the wholeness, their wholeness together. And in that regard, I am welcoming that experience. And how that evolves, the patterns of specialness will enter, but we know better than to play them. And I said to her, I said, well, what that really looks like is that you make an agreement with this partner, this person you want to have this whole experience with. You make an agreement to see past, to see through all the judgments and triggers that they bring up in you, to see past and through that into their innocence and their wholeness. You make an agreement that that's how the relationship will endure and progress. Looks like this. Okay, pretend that you're the person I want to be with. All right, let's agree to see past all the foibles, all the things we don't like, all the judgments, to see past that into the purity of your innocent soul. And if you're willing to do that with me, let's do this. So the agreement is made, and if you guys fall short, if we fall short, we just bring our attention back to the agreement. Hey, you're not living the agreement. Or you don't say anything. And that would be living the agreement. Allow whatever their blame or whatever is coming at you to go right through you like a piece of clear glass. And you just smile and say, thank you. And it's diffused like that. So there are some good ideas for today to live by. This mystic wisdom thing. And I want to bless this idea of living on earth and this idea of sharing the summer solstice. Because I know there's going to be a lot of people at the beach today. There was yesterday. You could finally hardly find a place for your blanket.
Oh, is it hot there?
Oh, whoa, jeez. Oh. You need to put your hand up. You scared me. Um, it's I don't
Sorry.
know. It's probably around, I don't know, in the 70s somewhere.
Oh,
Yeah, it's not about the heat. It's about the celebration of life that the Hawaiians are into.
mm,
The only time you can't find a camp spot at this campground that I love that has 300 spaces, 300 permits they have. The only time you can't get a reservation is when it's a holiday, because the Hawaiians they come out in force. Many families they come together in like two, three, four families get together and set up a huge camp that's covered with kitchens and refrigerators and stoves and tubies and boogie boards and fishing poles and gosh, sometimes even canoes or kayaks and paddle boards. It's just so beautiful to see how they celebrate life.
mm,
So I usually don't go camping on those days, but yeah, the waves have been really nice lately to wash ourselves clean. The ocean helps me um, to feel more whole because she is whole. And I see now we have, um, is it a hand up or a thumbs up? Let's see. Yeah, did you have a question, CL?
oh, thank you so much. It's so good to hear the difference between the special and the holy. But I do have a question. I feel that way towards my partner who I'm not living with or seeing right now. I can see through all of his pain and his mental illness and everything that's going on.
What's the question?
But I don't think he's whole, you know. So,
That's a projection, honey, and that's a reflection.
well, I don't know what to do because I just can't go back to the way it was. And I want him to know I love him, and I'm sort of in a quandary about this. So I guess my question is, yeah, about projections. When
Yeah.
your experience is so, I
Okay.
guess I've been codependent. I don't think it was a holy relationship. And
Very rare.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. You need to own all your projections, you know, and it helps to believe that everything we see is just a reflection. And the ego hates that. When you
yeah,
say he's not whole, you're saying I'm not whole.
well,
Because
yeah.
in all special relationships, everything is equally balanced.
Oh,
Always. That's just the nature of it.
oh,
But the ego can't see that. It only sees the other and wants to put everything on them when nothing could be further from you finding your way home in the idea that it's only happening, everything that you see, every projection, only happening here. It's a fact that a thought never leaves its source.
mm.
So every projection we have only belongs to us.
Even things like, you know, verbal and psychological
Yes.
abuse,
Yeah.
all
Look at it. It's all separation. If there's a you and a them, it's separation. It's all ego. When there's no you and them, when you let go of the duality of your perception, there's only you as them.
So the idea then is that even though I feel these strong bonds that I mean, I'm connected with the divine. I feel that. I live as clean a life as I can right here. Um, I feel like I'm in a soup that's toxic,
You are.
not just me, you know.
It is you. It's all you. See, that's what the ego will not own.
Mhm.
As long as there's something else besides you, you're living in separation, specialness.
So how do you um
You're you're
unify
you're,
all that?
you're on the right track.
I'm asking the question.
Yeah, you're on the right track when, bring it all home. Just adopt the belief there's no one else but you in your projections,
Mhm.
regardless of what the ego tells you. Just adopt that belief and meditate on that. Bring it home, and then you have power to change your feelings.
Okay.
Because as long as there's someone else, you're in blame. And blame is absolute separation because it's not true. There is no other. And that has been told by every Indian mystic and every mystic that's walked the planet. We are one. We are
So,
one in spirit, having experience with each other through the experience of separation.
well, it does, I guess separation is multifaceted in the sense of, they have a different body, they have a different look, they're in the past.
It's not, it's all one thing.
It's all one thing.
If you're making anything complex, it's of the ego.
Mm, okay.
That's the ego's game, is complexity.
So what do you do in your sessions with people?
With myself or with others?
No, with a client.
No, I just reflect wholeness. That's the only thing that really works. You don't even have to speak then if you are whole. That's what Jesus did. He just reflected everyone's purity and they were healed.
Mm,
There was never any judgment. There was never another. He knew through his presence he could influence because they weren't separate. And his presence was so powerful that people felt his presence, even if you were blind, heard his voice and were healed.
mhm.
Yeah.
I've been interested in what he did.
That's why he walked around saying, I and my Father are one. Now, that may sound like a separation statement, but it's coming out of separation into the reality that we are God.
Mhm.
Yeah. And in that regard, there's only happiness and joy to experience from that mindset of being God.
Okay.
Everything else is ego. If you're not happy, ego, you're running an egoic pattern in some way.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
that's why people meditate, that's why they dance, that's why they sing, you know. They want to merge with innocence, the reality of God's purpose for us here is perfect happiness.
Well,
That's why we were given everything. We were
mm,
given everything. Nothing was held back. We were even given sex.
sure. I always thought sex was love.
And we can misuse everything we've been given
Mm.
because we were given free will, which is why it's said we're the crown of creation because we get to choose. I don't think a tree or an animal is choosing. I think they're just being. You
Mhm.
know?
Yeah,
Everything in nature is just being,
my experience.
except for us. We get to choose what to be
Yeah,
with what has been given.
it seems like a tall order, but I think I can shift really quickly into joy. So,
Absolutely. And the ego hates it when you do that because its job is to keep you sad and depressed, blaming others and feeling shame.
and separate. Mhm.
Yeah. So
Oh,
good luck with good luck with that.
that's a lot. I'm proud of you.
But it's why you're here.
Okay,
It's not a lot. To accept the will of God for you is not really a lot. You just have to pull together enough strength to say, I'm not playing that pattern when the ego starts a pattern,
okay.
you
Is
know?
that's what it means to be in the now, so you're aware when the pattern comes up?
Absolutely. You witness the pattern, it wants to think about him in this way or that way, and you stop in the pattern and you go, I'm not going there. I'd rather be happy.
I guess God will engineer everything.
Already has. It's already been given, it's already been done. We just have to accept it.
Well, this is my big birthday now, and I'm just gonna do this. This is what it is. Go to the beach and find joy.
That's it. And don't look back.
Oh, okay.
Don't look back. Just keep saying no to those patterns. They
Okay.
have they have gravity, those patterns.
They do.
And you are defying gravity by saying no to them. And that's why an an angel has wings because it takes itself lightly.
I love that. Oh, what a blessing. Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. And I'll leave you with that thought because
Hmm.
that's a really good thought.
Hmm. It's a powerful teaching for me today. I'm letting it in totally.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Bless
you,
you.
Wayne.
Thank you for showing up again.
Oh, yeah. Where is everybody else? They must be listening to the replay.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah, and the times might be changing because I'm being trained to do a radio show on KKCR live radio here, um, which has to happen on Sunday. So I'll let everybody know a week or two before,
Okay.
because there's a little bit of conflict between the timing of that show and this one.
Okay. Well, we
So
can listen to the show.
yeah, yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
I like radio shows.
Yeah, it's going to be
Awesome.
fun. I'm designing all kinds of great meditations for us.
Ah, meditation is where it's at.
Because they've got this huge board where I can mix my voice, do voiceovers with some of my favorite soundtracks. It's going to be fun.
Oh, that is exciting.
Yeah. All right, CL. I
Bye.
bless you in your journey towards a holy relationship with yourself.
That's where it's at.
Just remember, God's purpose for us is perfect happiness.
Oh, I'll let myself receive that right now.
And with that, I say
Aloha.
aloha and farewell until next time.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on.
All right. Love you guys.
Bright, bright blessings.
Mhm.
Ciao for now.
Ahuiho.
Ahuiho.